how there was no presentations, so we actually got to just spend a whole day talking. We had 2 minutes to talk about what it was that had brought us here, but then the rest of the time was those conversations that usually when you go to a conference, you get 2 minutes to have a conversation and the rest of the time is watching presentations, so love that. What I found most interesting was that instead of listening to other people prepare papers and sort of losing track and falling asleep, this was full-on engagement. So we talked to each other, we discussed ideas, we interrupted each other, had a great time.
I've had an absolutely fantastic day. In fact, I'd like to go as far to say this is probably the best conference I've ever been to. I feel quite empowered, having been with people as passionate as I believe that I am.
I think the most encouraging thing was to see so many academics thinking so passionately about teaching and how we actually take the knowledge into the real world through our students.
Today is fantastic because it's one of those few opportunities to get together with a small number of respected colleagues around the world who are doing similar sort of work. So I've learned from them and they've learned from me.
Probably actually meeting people more than anything else. I mean, there was some interesting discussion about things, but again, we only have a day and we're academics. We can't get that deeply into it. But I know who to follow up with now. I've met him and I've met her, so we can continue the conversation.
There was a willingness for us all to explore different ideas, to build on different ideas, not to compete with different ideas on what we think should be right. And one of the things that really came out to me was the fact that we're in a joint enterprise with students. We're actually engaging with them.
Here, you can properly engage with one idea and carry it forward all the way through, and to a point where you can define it, look at your different perspectives on things, and then actually draw proper actions. So you can actually develop research plans, research papers, research groups, bids, that sort of stuff.
I've come out of here with some techniques and ideas for my classroom. I have come out with a shared understanding of problems, and I've come out with some theories to follow up.
We've got a lot of cross-disciplinary synergies that we can collaborate with and build upon, and even outside of this university. So I'm going to take away the fact that I've got some potential colleagues and co-authors and co-researchers out there that we're going to be tapping on the shoulder and saying, okay, where can we go from here?
Well, one thing that surprised me was the diversity of people we had around. We had a tremendous number of people, and everybody was approaching management education from slightly different angles. People had different discipline backgrounds, different practical backgrounds, and that was quite good to see that.
One thing that surprised me was the level of agreement and commonality in what colleagues understood as the issues. It sounds like we're all dealing with the same sorts of problems.
The thing that surprised me most about today was the passion that a bunch of people from a broad range of backgrounds, different countries, brought to a concern in developing the effectiveness of management education.
So yeah, this was the best academic experience I ever had, and not just coming here but also writing the thing, and I wish there was more stuff like this going on in academia.
What surprised me about today was how fantastic it actually was, because an unconference is something I've never heard of before, and I really didn't know how it was going to work, and I was so pleased that everything meshed and melded really well.
I guess what surprised me was both the similarities and the differences, so that people at completely different institutions were facing the same challenges, but then also they'd gone about tackling those in different ways. So some of the different techniques that they had were really useful.
I was surprised that it worked, honestly. I'm used to very traditional sorts of conferences, and I saw this one having the potential to be a train wreck, but it turned out to go really well.
Yeah, I really liked the informal, unstructured nature of the Unconference. Just so many conferences I go to, you sit there and you listen to all these papers that really are not what really makes you thrive. I mean, they tend to be really functionalist, whereas I'm interested in those deeper philosophical questions.
The people who are prepared to engage and let their hair down and just say what's at the top of their heads, great.
Yeah, you can bring your own ideas, you can discuss them with people. People are open to discuss them with you. and to develop them further, and hopefully in the next weeks and months to work on them and implement them.
I think it's succeeded because it's focused.
Well, I think for one, it's a bit more motivating because you're actually engaged, and so that engagement and being involved in actually doing things and feeling creative and productive as an academic is quite motivating. It's more motivating than just sitting and listening to a talk, probably.
I would recommend any group of academics to think about undoing any conference they are doing it in the format of Unconference, because it's so much closer to what I think academia should be about, intellectual exchange. And that's what happens here. You come with ideas, you discuss them, you go with something new.
This was full-on engagement. So we talked to each other, we discussed ideas, we interrupted each other, had a great time, and we got some research done, or at least we got some proposals done for research. So really enjoyed it, and I think it was very productive.
I love the fact there was no formal presentations, to be honest. It's so nice just to chat rather than just listen for 15 minutes.
Oh, the Unconference was fantastic.
The Unconference was great.
The Unconference rocked.
Yeah, the Unconference was great. I think we should do it again.
The Unconference was great.
The Unconference was great.
The Unconference was great.
The Unconference was great.
The Unconference was mind-blowing.
The Unconference was great.